Thank you, Ms Doris. Can I congratulate the honourable gentleman for Sherwood for securing this important debate. He and I have constituencies at opposite ends in the Midlands, but I think what we have in common is a sense of injustice about the poor return our licence fee payers get on the investment they make. And what I think we need from the BBC is quite simple. We need a fairer share of the spend and a much firmer commitment that BBC production will be brought to our region. For far too many of my constituents, and I suspect people across the Midlands, the BBC means London, Cardiff, Salford, Bristol, Belfast, Glasgow, the Big Six, anywhere but our region. And it seems to me that the simple fact remains, various people have quoted the figures, the reality is the Midland licence fee payer contributes about 942 million to the BBC, and it gets about 80 million back in terms of investment, less than 9% of the total licence fee. I don't think anyone could see that as fair.
BBC spent £1 billion on New Broadcasting House and also wasted or wrote off £100 million on a failed digitisation project last year.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I think we can all have criticisms of failures in spending, but the central point I'm making is about the inequitable spend here, but I take the honourable gentleman's point. In a brief, Ms Doris, the BBC sent me for this debate. I was reminded that the mailbox is the home of the academy, the workplace, outreach. Great, but what the brief didn't contain was the numbers of new jobs and apprenticeships associated with these initiatives. And what I'd really like to know is how it compares to the 180 million new studio and the 1,000 new jobs for Media City in Salford. And I'd really like to know, as my honourable friend pointed out, why the bulk of production is technically still located in London. Now, I'm told that the BBC is anxious to use Birmingham as an innovative testbed because, as we've heard, we've got the youngest city in Europe. We've got a truly multi-ethnic and multicultural area. But what I want to know is, where's the substance to this? Where are the new formats, the new technologies, the new jobs that are actually coming to the Midlands? I think it's time we saw some of the hard data, and I want to know that all these promises are coming true, that there is a plan to work with the Ormiston Academy, the REP and Birmingham City University. I've heard plenty of the talk. I think it's time we saw some of the action, and we need to know that there's a real programme for mentoring and apprenticeships in the Midlands, and we need to know that digital innovation is more than just a form of words. Now, obviously, I will give way.
Just touching on the apprenticeships, but I'd also wonder whether anyone has any thoughts in terms of pay differentials within the BBC. There's 91, by latest reports, members of BBC staff on more than the Prime Minister currently employed, while many people who actually do the programming, the broadcast assistants, broadcast journalists and senior broadcast journalists, may take home a quarter of that sort of salary, yet they are the ones putting in the work, while those who are moving people from place to place are earning bumper salaries. I wonder what the honourable gentleman thinks about that.
Mr McCabe.
Yeah, well, I think that's a real challenge for the Director General. I think it's one of the things he's got to tackle. It contributes to this sense of unfairness that many of us have about the organisation. And of course, I welcome, like my honourable friend and news, that HR jobs and training jobs are coming to Birmingham. But, you know, it was only a couple of years back that the BBC announced a nationwide search for new talent for disabled presenters, and it managed to entirely exclude Birmingham from the process. So I want to know, where's the new jobs for the performers in the Midlands, for the directors, for the creative people in the Midlands? So I want to conclude by congratulating the honourable member for securing this debate. And I think what we need to hear is that any future discussion on charter renewal and the licence fee will be about a more equitable share of the money. You can't contribute nearly £1 billion to the BBC pot and get a paltry 9% back. It must be obvious that Midland licence fee payers are... I'll give.
I'm try to intervene on him, but just to recognise, when we are given the opportunity in the East and West Midlands, like with Notts TV, which has been created, which has been a really successful model working alongside Nottingham Trent University, when we're given the opportunity, we're actually really good at it, and it's such a shame that those in London don't recognise that talent and don't invest more in it.
Ms McKay.
I totally agree. I think there's a wealth of creative talent across the Midlands, and as somebody said earlier in the debate, we keep hearing about this desire to help the regions to grow and to rebalance their economies. Well, one of the things we need to do is to recognise that creative potential in our region. And apart from anything else, I've come to the conclusion, and I say this to the Minister, I don't know how helpful it will be, but the Midland licence fee payers aren't going to tolerate this any longer. The game is up. They've had enough.